Awesome. So since we're there,
Yeah.
well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone joining us from across the world. Welcome to the first Leadership Insight series of 2025, hosted by Dapper Dollars. If you're new to the series, we're thrilled to have you. If you've been with us before, welcome back. You see, Dapper Dollars was founded on a mission to equip professionals with financial literacy, leadership insight, and career strategies to help them thrive. We believe that when individuals are empowered with the right knowledge and tools, they create not just impact for themselves, but for their communities and industries at large. So, as we celebrate Black History Month, today's discussion is more than just a conversation on leadership. It's a recognition of resilience, excellence, and innovation that underrepresented leaders have demonstrated throughout history. So, from trailblazers who have broken barriers in businesses to modern day changemakers driving progress, leadership has always been at the heart of transformation. So, today we'll explore how leadership is not just about guiding teams, but it's about creating opportunity, championing growth, and fostering resilience in times of uncertainty. To introduce our guest for today, I'll pass it over to my co host, Nebran, to get that done.
Thanks, George. Today's conversation is one that will leave a lasting impact, and we couldn't have asked more for two better leaders to guide us through it. First, we have Ladrika Derrico, a dynamic leader at AT&T, where she serves as Director of National Operations for Global Workplace Services. With a strong background in financial governance, risk management, and corporate strategy, Ladrika has navigated multiple leadership roles since completing the prestigious Finance Leadership Development Program. Beyond her corporate impact, she is also the COO of the Network Black Integrated Community Professionals, also known as the Network BCP, where she is dedicated to mentorship, leadership development, and career advancement initiatives. She holds a bachelor's degree in finance and managerial sciences and an MBA. Joining her is Dr. King McCrae, a financial strategist, entrepreneur, and leadership expert with over 15 years of experience in wealth management and business development. Over the course of his career, he has managed over $450 million in assets, advising businesses and professionals on financial strategy and economic empowerment. Dr. McCrae academic credentials are equally impressive. He holds a PhD in business, an MBA, and a master's in management strategy and leadership. He is deeply passionate about equipping professionals with the tools they need to lead effectively and navigate today's evolving business landscape. Ladrika, Dr. McCrae, thank you both for joining us today. We're honored to have you share your insights and expertise.
Awesome.
Thank you both, and it's. I think the honor is actually ours because again, what we will know, but you are our returning guest, and it's so blessed to have the both of you on our platform again. Um, Ladrika, I want to start with you. So throughout history, you see a lot of leadership. I'll say in terms of like how they've shaped and been pivotal to how industries are moving, driving innovation. But as we reflect on Black History Month, what do you see that representation looking like in today's landscape?
Yeah. Um, I mean, and to your point, I think historically we've seen how leadership allows for the echo chambers of what our underserved communities need to be infused in strategy. Um, no matter what point in time you look in, I think we're in just special times where that need to band together across multiple industries and driving change is still very much necessary. When you think about the things that are at the heart, whether it's education or just access in general, um, it's important for each person as leaders to think about it from a micro and then let it transcend out to a macro. So, micro sense is I know we have multiple industries represented. It's what can we do and what's our responsibility um, as a firm and to drive change within and how it impacts the community. How do we begin to elevate that? How do we infuse it in our strategies? And then you go a step further and you think about it from a community perspective. How do we partner and make sure that we're at the heart of what that change looks like? And, how are we showing up when it comes to relations, employee relations, and groups that align, we have to just be vocal, and we have to like learn to lean in, because we've seen how inclusiveness has really made companies successful. Like, we think about it, the most successful places are the ones that put inclusiveness at the heart, and leadership really is the one that echoes everything across the firm. So that is something that I think we still have to keep that at the crest of it. Historically, we've seen it reaching across the aisle, and it's even more critical, especially in this day and age, to lean on our counterparts to elevate our voices.
I appreciate that. I think the most important thing, you actually said, especially giving that whole context around micro and macro. That's a definitely amazing breaking down. And I want to kind of go to my next question with you, Dr. McCrae. So I know from the representation standpoint, what can you say leaders can start to do to make sure like they're actually opening doors for the next generation to come in and make things happen?
Mm, absolutely.
I love that. I love that. I think just that breakdown of actually leading by example it's brilliant. And Ebon, I'll give it to you.
Yeah. First of all, thanks for these philosopher slash rapper like phrases that you give out, because these are awesome. It's so easy to remember, and yet it's so impactful. So that's why I love how you articulate your ideologies. So speaking, I know you mentioned about things of shifting. So seen some recent shifts, especially starting from January 6th, right, inauguration, and with the shifts we've seen also in the companies, right? There's been a lot of DEI efforts that have been also shifted. Um, as some of these organizations are scaling back these programs, and then while others are also integrating them into these broader leadership initiatives. So, as a leader, how do you navigate these changes while staying committed to fostering diverse, high performing teams? I'll start with you, Dr. McCrae. Hmm.
Mhm. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Mhm. Awesome. I can lean in there, and I had a couple of people reach out. I think Dr. King, um, people were saying that they were having some issues hearing, so I wanted to address that before I dive into it. So I'm not sure if it's on their end or on our end. Um, but I think you hit the hammer on the nail when you think about it. And think about Target. When Target rolled back their initiatives, they took a 15 billion impact because everything we do is impacting our shareholders. And so what we have to start to realize is that even if you don't have the leadership title, we're all leaders in some respect, and we all have an accountability that we drive. And so it starts with, like you said, introspection. Where do we fit and where do we stand? And then how do we start to create spaces and forums where we create that, strategic lens of here's our position, in understanding that those different voices in the room in taking care of the needs of our employees and the people that we serve are important. It's gotten us to where we are today, and it's going to be the critical things that take us where we need to go. Not only do we have our society changing, but we have trends and everything is constantly evolving at the same time. So we have to have a mindset that we need to build together. And I'll kind of, give a shout out to the EGs. We actually had this same conversation in January for the MLK Day celebration. And there were some concerns about, like, well, how do we use our voices and how do we use spaces in which we can amplify it? Well, there's been a lot of grassroots efforts. And sometimes it's okay to say, this will be grassroots until we can elevate it further. And that's what inclusiveness looks like. It looks like everyone understanding their position and coming together and say, hey, it can start off small, but we want to make sure that we're bringing those issues to the forefront and challenging the leaders within ourselves to do that. And then for us that are in these leadership roles where we can influence, and I like Dr. King, you said sometimes you got to be close enough where you know what's going on, but further enough, knowing that you can influence on a much larger area. So it has to be this funnel of taking, what people are saying and what they're feeling, and then saying, okay, well, we have spaces in and we have different positions in which we can influence. How do we leverage or walk that line of influence and up? How do we elevate those spaces so that people will continue to feel or just galvanize to continue to lean in? But inclusiveness has to be at the forefront. Challenging your inner leader has to be at the forefront, and leaning into those grassroots and where you can amplify that is going to always be important.
Brilliant, brilliant. I know you have a follow up question, and but I think we need to sort out the technical issue with Dr.
Yeah.
King. Um,
Yeah. So for the ones who are tuning in or going to be watching this episode later, we're going to stop the recording right now. We'll fix this technical issue quickly and we'll come back right now. So, okay. So let's start over the going live. we don't have to start over from the beginning,
Yeah.
but I want to make sure that every window has a